Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's episode is going to be, I think it's going to be relatively long, simply because I did promise that I would talk about my property investing journey thus far and how it is that I've gotten to where I am, and how it is that I'm buying a property aged 24, which is relatively young for some people. So without further ado, well, let's get into it. Basically, I feel like I have been on this journey for the longest time, simply because I have always, for as long as I can remember, had a passion for property. I think it's due to the fact that I have quite a lot of older siblings, and so when I was younger, the TV shows that I used to watch were the TV shows that they watched, and they watched a lot of property shows, and that's how I kind of got into it. And one of my favourite shows on TV, it's still on TV now, it's on UK TV, I'm not sure if they have a version wherever you guys are, but it's called Homes Under the Hammer, and the premise of the show is this TV crew follows someone or people that have bought properties at auction, and then they see what the person does to it. So someone would buy a rundown property, do it up, and then either sell it on or rent it out. And that was my first experience of property as an investment vehicle, and I used to love seeing the transformation. Like, you know, I used to love seeing the property before it was bought and then trying to guess like what the person would do with the property. And you know, as I got older, I started to have my own ideas as to how I would change the property that they were buying, and it was always interesting for me to see like the finished product and what they did with the property. And most interesting for me was how much they then sold it on for, you know, the profit that they made on the investment. And that kind of just really got me into property, to the point that aged like 17, I used to go to property auctions just to be, I don't know if any of you have been to an auction, but it's just so exciting. You know, there's people like, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe I'll do a video one day where we go to an auction. But basically, like, people are just buying property, and you know, you have your paddle, and so when you want to offer on a property, like, you put your paddle up, and you know, it's so exciting, and the room is vibrant. So I used to go to auctions just for fun. It's the kind of person that I am. Yeah, so I was just passionate about it. And then I went to uni, and it wasn't until second year I continued to go to auctions, and I was always really interested in knowing if I saw there was a property on my road that was on the market. I'd love to like try and guess how much it was on the market for, and then I'd go and look and that kind of thing. And a friend of mine, literally second year of uni, was like, you know, said to me, if you love property so much, why don't you just go into it as a career? And I was like, ding! It was like light bulb moment in my head. I was like, oh my god, yes, let me do that. So then I kind of Googled, like literally Googled careers in property, and commercial surveying came up, and I looked into that and I was like, oh, actually that's really good, because the only kind of experience that I'd had so far was residential. Like, I had quite a bit of knowledge about residential property, and I didn't know much about commercial. And so I did an internship, I did a few internships actually, with different commercial surveying firms, and I worked in residential development, I worked in commercial development as an intern, and then I went off to China. I did an internship in China for an architectural firm, so I was just building up my knowledge of the property sector in general, both residential and commercial, and then once I graduated, I applied to graduate schemes. We have schemes here in the UK, I'm not sure if it's the same elsewhere, but basically you apply to a job role as a graduate and you do like a 2-year training course, and then you come out qualified in the end. So I'm currently doing my training course at the moment. In about a year's time I should be a qualified surveyor, commercial surveyor. So I work in the commercial property real estate sector, and it wasn't until sort of 2 years ago, so 2015, roughly, when I started working as a graduate at the firm that I'm at the moment, I realised that, you know, I missed the residential side of things, and I kind of wanted to start dipping my toes into property investment on a personal level, because in my day role we advise high net worth clients and institutions on what to buy, and I kind of wanted to start my own thing on the side, and I wanted to dip my toe into residential investment. And so that's when I started going to property events, networking events. I went to different training courses. I learned about the different property strategies that there are out there, because there isn't just one strategy. You know, it's not just buy to let out there. There's serviced accommodation, there's, you know, commercial to residential development. There's all these different strategies, property investing strategies that one can use. So I went to all these different courses and I learned about all these different strategies, and I was like, wow, like I so want in on this. And I remember that was September 2015, I started taking it a bit more seriously. And then in January of last year, I thought to myself, right, I wasn't progressing as fast as I would have liked to. Mainly because I have a full-time job. So all of the stuff that I was doing on my personal property journey was all sort of in my spare time. So evenings and weekends and stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I literally did not have a life. Like, if you want anything bad enough in life, you literally have to sacrifice so much. So I sacrificed a lot of my free time, you know, had to turn down a lot of social events and birthdays and things like that, because I would be going to these training events which would be a day long or a weekend long, and I have to travel across the country. But I did it because I loved it and I wanted to progress. So I got to January 2016, I hadn't progressed as far as I would have liked to have done. So I thought to myself, right, I need to take some massive action. And that's when I decided to invest in a mentor. So I paid to have someone who was experienced. He was actually a property millionaire. I paid to have him mentor me for a certain number of months, and that included monthly calls with him. And he talked me through the different strategies. He kept me accountable, and with all his experience, he was able to tell me or to steer me away from making the same mistakes that he did, which was amazing. And I remember when he sat me down, when we had our first meeting together, and he was like, so what's your goal? Like, what goals do you have? And I was like, I remember writing it, because he said to write it down. I remember writing it down and almost chuckling to myself, because I was like, as if this will ever happen. I was like, he was like, what's your goal for this time next year? So I was like, okay, June 2017, I want to own at least, I remember saying at least 2 investment properties and laughing at myself. I was like, as if that's ever gonna happen. And yeah, and you know, I continued with him. Originally, I was looking at potentially investing in London, but I quickly realized that London was way too overpriced for me. I didn't have access to the amount of capital needed to begin investing in London. And that's when I started looking further afield. I went to Nottingham University. For those who don't know, Nottingham is a city like in the Midlands, sort of, we call it the Midlands, I call it North England. So it's a city sort of 2 hours train journey from London. And that's where I went to university, and I understand the market there, principally because I worked as an estate agent when I was there. Like, that was my part-time job. Yeah, that's how passionate I was about property. Like, I literally lived, breathed, and slept it. Like, that's how much I was passionate about property, and still am. So I worked as an estate agent up there, so I understood the market. I lived as a student in student accommodation and student properties. So I understood the student market, and so for me, Nottingham as a city made sense because I understood the market. And I think when investing, always try and invest somewhere where you know, whether it's where you live or you've lived there in the past and you have a good understanding of the place. So my go-to was Nottingham. Unfortunately, the properties in Nottingham are a hell of a lot cheaper than London. I mean, anywhere that's not London is much easier to buy. So I was looking at properties there, and I knew the rough kind of areas where students like to live. And so I was doing viewings. I actually paid a friend of mine who was studying up there to kind of be my man on the ground, as it were. So he did all the viewings for me. He took all the pictures. He would send me the pictures. He'd send me like a checklist that I asked him to fill out. And then based on his viewing of the property and his opinion and looking at the photos, I would then put an offer in on the properties. And I remember he viewed maybe like, I feel like he viewed like maybe 10 properties, and I might have offered on like 5 or 6. I remember my first offer, which was accepted on the property that I had a friend of mine, a building surveyor of mine, go up and sort of look at the property and look at the structure of the property, and he advised me that he would not pay the amount that they were asking for. He was like, I would not pay that much for that property. So I ended up reducing my asking price by like 10 grand. And sure enough, the seller didn't accept it. So I lost the offer that had been accepted on that property because I offered a lot less than what they were asking. But this was based on advice that I'd gotten from a trusted friend who is a building surveyor and who understands buildings. And he advised me, he was like, Faith, not for that price, I wouldn't buy it. And so I thought, you know what? I might have lost some money on that because I'd already paid a solicitor. And I paid some fees already to sort of get things started. But I thought to myself, I'd rather lose that money now than buy a property which is gonna literally eat me alive, in terms of I'd have to be spending lots of money to get it done, lots of money to get it back to working condition and all of that kind of stuff. So I remember being sad and upset because that was October last year, 2016. But I thought it's okay, like, you know, you live and you learn kind of thing. So I just kept pushing, I kept going, and it was lovely to have my mentor because he was encouraging me to keep going. He was like, Faith, that's great, you've had your offer accepted, you know. And then when I lost my offer, he was like, it's okay, Faith, just keep going. So, you know, I kept sending the guy that I had up there, kept sending him to go on these viewings. And I remember I was on Rightmove, which is basically a site where most properties in the UK are marketed on. So I was on Rightmove and I was looking at properties in the similar area, and I saw this one that seemed almost too good to be true, because from the pictures it looked really like structurally sound, and it was actually on the market for the exact same price that I would have paid for the really terrible property that my friend advised me not to buy. So I thought, there must be something wrong with this property, like why is it so cheap? So I got my friend to go and do a viewing on it. It was a 2-bed property, and the first bedroom was a double bedroom and the second bedroom was a lot smaller. It was more of a single bedroom, suitable for like a single bed or like maybe a child's room. So I thought to myself, maybe that's why it wasn't as expensive as the other 2 beds in the area. But anyway, I thought to myself, it's really structurally sound. I knew there wouldn't be a lot of work to be done to it. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna offer on this. So I did, I offered on the property, and the offer was accepted. And I remember feeling so happy, and I was like, oh my God, like, I really, really hope this goes through. And then, yeah, and so I did that. I got my solicitor in place, my broker was in place. It's meant to take 4 to 12 weeks to complete on a property, but this property took 6 months. It took 6 months to complete. And there was just so much that happened. Like, the seller's accounts were hacked. That put things back. Then there was damp found at the property. When the lender went out to survey the property, there was damp found, and I was just like, oh my God. And so then, like, you know, the damp had to be sorted out, and then the surveyor, the lender had to send their surveyor again to come and value the property. And then, yeah, it just took what seems like it took forever. But yeah, and then this week, you know, the mortgage offer came through, and then within 2 days we had completed on the property. And so it's been what seems like the longest time. I mean, it's not just that property that I've been looking at. There are other strategies that I'm doing, which I will explain to you guys at a later date. But that property is my first property that I'm buying in my own name. So I own that property outright. And yeah, and so that's pretty much my property investing journey thus far. It's been years in the making. If we take it back to when I was like 15 and watching those property shows and wanting to be a property owner, and fast forward to now, I'm 24, that's 9 years. 9 years I have wanted to be a property owner and to have an investment property, and now I'm here and we've completed, and I could not be happier. Like, genuinely, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy that I've got here. And yeah, like, what's next? I'd say next, I'm probably just gonna focus on getting this property tenanted and getting the cash flow off the property. If my numbers are correct, I should be getting a few £100 off of this property every month in my bank account. Cha-ching. And so, yes, I'm gonna focus on getting this property stable, and then it will be on to the next one. The plan is to buy as many as physically possible using my money, using other people's money, you know, joint venture partnerships. There are so many ways that you can buy property without needing your own money per se. And fortunately, I have been able to meet loads of people who want me to sort of help them on their journey and stuff, and are willing to joint venture with me. So the plan is to just buy really, and just build my property portfolio and get to a stage where I can live off of the income of the properties that I own. And that is the plan. So yeah, that's my property investing journey in a nutshell. Yeah, I do promise I will take you guys to Nottingham with me, so you can see the property, and I plan to tell you how everything's going from getting it tenanted and like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, just stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, and you shall be able to follow my journey as I continue to build my property portfolio. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and learning about my property investing journey so far. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for new content every Sunday. See you next time. Bye.